Hey, what is up, you guys? It's your boy straydog here. We're back at it again with another video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to whatever time you're watching this. For this one, where we're looking at the greatest character introduction in TV history. Is that a fact? I don't know, but it could be up there. It really could be up there. This is a video, like a analysis video of
if another house concedes
TYWIN Lannister's introduction in the Game of Thrones series. So this is gonna be fun. I remember watching this the first time. It was really good. Like, I wasn't even thinking of how good it was at that time, but when you compare it to a few others, like it is really good. So this is like an in-depth analysis of it. But sad the way he died, shitting in the toilet, killed by someone short. Just sorry for the spoilers to anyone that hasn't watched this yet, but this is his heyday, basically. So just watch it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And without further ado, let's go.
if another house can seize one of our own and hold him captive with impunity, we are no longer a house to be feared.
This is TYWIN Lannister, probably the most powerful man in Westeros, and he's about to deliver one of the greatest character introductions in television history. When I say this, I'm not exaggerating. This scene is effortlessly brilliant, because in just a few minutes, we get a masterclass in character development that shows us exactly who TYWIN Lannister is. There's no grand entrance or unnecessary exposition, just a man butchering a stag while lecturing his son about power. And somehow, that tells us everything we need to know about him. And the funny thing is, just like the other scenes I've analyzed earlier, this one isn't in the books either. It was originally written by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, I'm not secretly being paid to fix their reputation, but let's be honest, when they got it right, they really got it right.
Yeah.
And this scene is one of those times they absolutely nailed it. So what makes this scene so great? What makes it one of the greatest character introductions in television history? I mean, of course, I'll talk about all of these things in detail, but first we need some context. By this point in the story, Starks and Lannisters are basically at each other's throats, because Catelyn Stark has kidnapped Tyrion, and everyone knows this is pretty much a declaration of war. And even though Tywin couldn't care less about Tyrion, he can't just let something like that slide. So he gathers his forces. Meanwhile, Jaime being Jaime and attacks Ned Stark. So right in the middle of all this chaos, we get this scene. Tywin and Jaime in a war tent, where Tywin is calmly skinning a deer while absolutely tearing his son apart.
Yep.
And speaking of which, that stag
Yep.
Charles Dance's skinning was real.
And they said, you ever butchered a deer before? I said, no.
They brought in a deer that had already died, and Charles Dance learned how to skin it on the very day they were filming. I mean, it's mind-blowing that an actor could pick up such a complex skill on the spot while still delivering such a commanding, unforgettable performance.
Jesus.
Just look at him. Even the way he handles the knife is so precise, so natural, that it makes Tywin feel terrifyingly real. From the moment he appears on screen, you instantly get that he's not just a father lecturing his son. He's someone who's completely in control of everything around him. Every move, every word coming out of his mouth has a purpose, just as you would expect from Tywin's character. On the other hand, the scene also shows us Jaime in a completely different light. This is the first time we get a glimpse of his vulnerable side. Up until now, the show portrayed him as this confident, unstoppable warrior, the famous Lion of Lannister. But watching this scene makes you realize that Lannister Lion was never Jaime at all. It was Tywin.
Poor Ned Stark. Brave man, terrible judgment.
If you take a closer look at this moment, you can actually see the first signs of doubt creeping into Jaime's face. Look at him right after he says that line. The smirk he gives his father is full of expectation. It's subtle, but it says a lot. This moment is actually a reflection of everything Jaime feels about Ned Stark. As we find out later in the show, Jaime's been holding a grudge against Ned for years, resenting him for seeing him as a man without honor and passing a harsh judgment on him. So here, Jaime is kind of throwing out a bait to his father, hoping for some validation, hoping that his father will back him up.
Nope.
But Tywin doesn't give him what he's looking for. You can literally see Jaime's expression changing when it happens. Instead of criticizing Ned, he turns the tables completely on his own son.
Attacking him was stupid.
Now this is the moment where Tywin truly starts playing his game. Just as I said, everything he says here has a purpose. The whole point of this speech is to break Jaime down so he can rebuild him into the man he thinks he should be. He knows Jaime inside and out. He knows his insecurities, his weaknesses. So he starts by making him feel stupid and then reminds him that Lannisters don't act like fools. Jaime's probably used to this by now. You can actually tell it from the look on his face. But what's really interesting is that if you are a careful viewer, you would know that this dynamic between them was already set up way back in the very first episode.
There was nothing to be afraid of until you told Father.
Lannisters don't act like fools. Lannisters don't act like fools.
But even though Jaime knows about this, he still tries to explain himself.
Go on, say something clever.
Catelyn Stark took my brother.
Why is he still alive?
Tyrion?
Ned Stark.
One of our men interfered. Speared him through the leg before I could finish him.
Why is he still alive?
Now, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, Tywin asking why is he still alive feels a bit random and doesn't exactly flow with the conversation. Jaime's obviously confused by it, but if you know Tywin from the books, it actually makes perfect sense. Because in the books, one of the first things we learn about Tywin is that he doesn't believe in half measures. And from Tywin's perspective, attacking Ned but not finishing him off is exactly that. For Tywin, it's actually pretty simple. If you're going to attack someone, why not kill them? And if you're not going to kill them, why bother attacking in the first place? This is actually a perfect example of how Tywin Lannister operates. Practical, direct, and ruthless. But of course, that doesn't mean Tywin expects Jaime to kill Ned. What he's really doing here is challenging Jaime's way of thinking and poking at his sense of honor, which Tywin clearly has no respect for. It's all about getting Jaime to reveal what's really going on inside his head, so Tywin can use it against him. However, Jaime isn't falling for it, at least not at first. Maybe he's just used to his father's tricks, or maybe he knows Tywin will just mock him if he opens up. Either way, Jaime doesn't give him the truth. That's why Tywin repeats the question, because he's not satisfied with the first response. And eventually Jaime cracks.
It wouldn't have been clean.
You spend too much time worrying about what other people think of you.
I could care less what anyone thinks of me.
Now this moment is really important because this is the first time we see Jaime for who he is. A man stuck between wanting to be honorable and hiding behind the Kingslayer name as his shield, and the reason he doesn't kill Ned is actually buried somewhere in this dilemma. We all know that Ned Stark is one of the most honorable men in Westeros, so killing him like that would not only ruin whatever reputation Jaime has left, but more importantly, it would confirm everything Ned thinks about him. And Tywin sees right through all of it.
You know, that's what you want people to think of you.
It's the truth.
I mean, think about it. This is season 1, episode 7. At this point, we barely know anything about Jaime, and he's still a bit of a mystery. But Tywin's insight into him is almost like a preview of everything we'll eventually learn about him. He even notices things that Jaime wouldn't admit to himself. And when he asks that follow-up question, everything suddenly makes sense.
When you hear them whispering Kingslayer behind your back, doesn't it bother you?
Of course it bothers me.
The thing is, this is not really a question. Tywin's not asking this out of curiosity. He wants to push Jaime towards a realization. He already knows what Jaime's gonna say, but he asks anyway, just to hit him with that crucial lesson.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
This line, I've seen this line so many times already. On t-shirts, on posters, on people's posts, on like those fucking, what do you call this? Fuck, I don't know. Those self-improvement books or some shit. I don't know, man. I've seen this line so many times before. The lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. Such an iconic line.
That crucial lesson.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Honestly, this line is brilliant.
Yep.
Because it's not just a lesson for Jaime, it's also a perfect reflection of Tywin's take on power and how he views his family's role in all of it. On top of that, this one line ties everything in the scene together so perfectly and adds this sharp allegorical layer that makes it one of the greatest moments of the entire show. I mean, think about it. In nature, a lion is at the top of the food chain and superior to sheep, or in this case, to a stag, just like the one Tywin is butchering. And Tywin believes in this natural order so strongly that he applies it directly to his family. In his eyes, just like in their sigils, the Lannisters are lions, and therefore it's only natural for them to dominate everyone else. In this context, Tywin butchering a stag, which represents House Baratheon, is not a coincidence. It's actually a perfect metaphor of a lion hunting its prey. But the scene does more than just symbolize this order. It also foreshadows what's...
Let me just say though, how he skinned that thing is so clean. Like, it's like he's doing this on a daily basis. Knowing that he did this on the day of that set is insane. Just goes to show the talent of this man.
to come. After eliminating the Baratheons, the
Like, he's the perfect man for the role. Just kind of like how Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, or, you know.
Lannisters will be the true power behind the throne.
Smart.
As the scene continues, Tywin keeps throwing these sharp observations at Jaime, and you can tell it's really getting to him. Jaime's face says it all. He's getting more and more pissed off, and by this point of the scene, he's not even trying to hide it anymore.
I suppose I should be grateful that your vanity got in the way of your recklessness.
So, how does Jaime react to all this? Well, he does what he always does. He tries to deflect with sarcasm. Just as Tywin lays out all of his contradictions, Jaime spots a flaw in his father's words and thinks he can use it against him, but of course, Tywin isn't having any of it. Before Jaime even gets the chance to finish his words, Tywin shuts him down. He reasserts his dominance. But this time, it's not just his words, it's his voice that reminds Jaime of who's in charge.
I didn't realize you placed such a high value on my brother's life.
He's a Lannister. He might be the lowest of the Lannisters, but he's one of us. And every day that he remains a prisoner, the less our name commands respect.
So the Lion does concern himself with the opinions
No,
of
that's not an opinion, it's a fact.
At first, you might think Tywin's just raising his voice because he's been exposed, but that's not it at all. When he calls it as a fact, he means it because it's rooted in a harsh reality he experienced in the past, one that Jaime could never understand. And this background, which the books explore a lot more, is key to understanding why Tywin sees the world the way he does. In the books, we learn that Tywin was shaped by his father's failures in a way that defined his entire life. Lord Tydos was a good man, but he was weak, too soft to command respect. The other lords didn't just ignore him, they openly laughed at him. They even gave him a nickname, the Toothless Lion. For a Lannister, that kind of nickname wasn't just an insult. It was a serious hit to the family's reputation. And Tywin saw it all. He saw how that weakness, the inability to inspire fear, nearly brought House Lannister to ruin. Only then he made a choice. He would never let that happen to his family again. He would never make the same mistakes his father did. And to make sure of it, he didn't hesitate to take extreme measures whenever necessary. Once you understand this, also this line makes a lot more sense.
If another house can seize one of our own and hold him captive with impunity, we are no longer a house to be feared.
And of course, this whole thing also connects Tywin's character to Machiavelli's teachings perfectly. We all know that Tywin is pretty much the definition of a Machiavellian character on the show, and honestly, this moment is the perfect example why. Because his mindset right here is exactly in line with something Machiavelli once said. It is much safer to be feared than loved, because love is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment, which never fails.
Yes.
At this point, it's hard to say if Jaime's catching all the layers in what his father is saying, but one thing's clear. Tywin's words hit him hard. You can see it on his face. He's definitely caught.
You know what I'm getting from this? These two are really good actors. Right? They're portraying the characters that they're meant to be, that they're supposed to be, that they be, to a T. You know? It's like they are who they're supposed to be. Like, they are their character, right? And it just goes to show, like, the talent of these individuals. It's insane. It's insane.
One thing's clear. Tywin's words hit him hard. You can see it on his face. He's definitely caught off guard. But Tywin's not done yet. So once again, he drops another bomb.
Your mother's dead. Before long, I'll be dead. And you, and your brother, and your sister, and all of her children. All of us dead. All of us rotting in the ground. It's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on. Not your personal glory, not your honor, but family.
If anyone ever asked me to describe Tywin Lannister as a character, I'd point them straight to this moment, because this one line sums up everything Tywin stands for perfectly. In just a few words, we understand exactly what matters most to him.
Do you understand?
With those lines, Tywin finally gets to the heart of what he's been building up to, and he's ready to deliver the final blow to Jaime. If you've been paying close attention, you might have already noticed something interesting. Throughout most of this scene, Tywin barely looks at Jaime. It's like skinning that deer is more important than having this conversation with him. But now, he starts shifting his attention. Even though he's not done with the deer, he takes a moment to clean his hands and then delivers one of the most insidious manipulations we've ever seen in Game of Thrones.
You're blessed with abilities that few men possess. You're blessed to belong to the most powerful family in the kingdoms. And you're still blessed with youth. And what have you done with these blessings, huh? You've served as a glorified bodyguard for 2 kings. One a madman, the other a drunk.
Let me explain it this way. Basically, there are 2 kinds of motivation. The first kind is the positive one, the kind that makes you feel good about yourself. It encourages you to move forward, to grow, and to reach for your goals, but in a healthy and constructive way. But then there's the second kind, the more insidious one. Instead of building you up, it tears you down. It makes you feel like you should be doing better, but somehow it's never quite enough. Like you're always falling short, always making the wrong choices. And that's exactly what TYWIN does to Jaime. First, he acknowledges what Jaime has, what sets him apart from others. But then with just one sentence, he tears down his entire life and identity. The Kingsguard is supposed to be the highest honor for a knight in Westeros. 7 of the finest warriors in the realm
Glorified bodyguard to 2 kings. One a madman, one a drunk.
sworn to protect the king with their lives. But TYWIN reduces this prestigious position to glorified bodyguard and then further diminishes it by pointing out that Jaime has served 2 unworthy kings. In that moment, TYWIN isn't just criticizing Jaime's choices. He's suggesting that his choices have been meaningless, his sacrifices pointless, and his pride misplaced.
Yep.
And then when Jaime is at his lowest, TYWIN offers him a way out.
I need you to become the man you were always meant to be. Not next year, not tomorrow.
Just look at him. Before this, he could barely spare a glance at his son, but now, when he's delivering those lines, he doesn't take his eyes off Jaime for a second. And to make it even more powerful, he adds this physical touch. You see, this is exactly what makes TYWIN a master manipulator. He's not just playing with words, he's also using his body language to control the situation. And from that moment on, Jaime is basically in the palm of his father's hand. By the time he walks out of that tent, you can just feel it. He's completely broken. But perhaps the most ironic part is that we never actually get to see whether that speech changes Jaime, because right after this scene, Jaime walks straight into Robb Stark's trap and ends up getting captured. He spends almost a year in captivity, loses his hand, and is forced to face himself in ways he never thought possible. When you see it that way, yes, Jaime does change, but not because of TYWIN. It happens in the weight of the chains, in the loss of his hand, as he's forced to rebuild himself from the ground up. I mean, there's definitely something poetic about it, and it definitely adds this incredible layer to even TYWIN's downfall. Because TYWIN has always been a man who truly believes he can shape his son with just one conversation, control Westeros through sheer will and manipulation, and that not even the gods could stand in his way. But fate, karma, or whatever you call it, has other plans. No matter how powerful he is, his fate, just like Jaime's, ends up being shaped by forces beyond his control. And in the end, for all his power and cunning, he dies in the most humiliating way possible, leaving behind a ton of plans that he never even got to carry out. What is more ironic than a great man who thought he was in control of everything, only to realize he'd lost control of his own destiny?
Yep. He died shitting with 2 hard things inside of him. Pause. But yeah, that's how he died. But man, it's a good scene. It's a really good scene. One that people could learn something from. I don't know if you should learn something from it. Whether if you learn something from it, you can use it for good or bad. I don't know. I don't care, honestly. But yeah, if you like the video, like the video. Share this to your family and friends, fellow Game of Thrones fans. Comment. What's the next thing that you want me to check out? Subscribe, all that good stuff. But without anything else to add, I guess that's it for me. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Till next time, folks. Doodles.